Ever since this interview got confirmed, I have been thinking of ways to introduce my guest. Even now, I have 50 ideas in mind, but I don't think even one explains the stature of my guest today. So I'm just going to say her name because I think that's more than enough. Welcome to Baatein Ankahee with the legend, Shabana Azmi.
My God, thank you very much.
Ma'am, thank you so much for doing this. You have no idea how happy I am because you gave me this time. It means the world to me.
You know, I remember that you've been wanting to do this for a long time. And so when I got this opportunity, I said, only Avinash is going to do this and nobody else. So it's good.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Before we start the conversation, I have a small surprise for you. There's someone who we both dearly love and has sent a message for you. I'm going to play it and I hope you like it.
Oh, great. Okay.
Let's do it? Okay.
Generosity, generosity, and generosity. That's what is the defining attribute of Shabana Azmi.
Mahesh Bhatt.
She is the most generous actor because she's a generous human being. Arth couldn't have been made without this very unique human being whom I had the privilege to encounter in my journey through life. She gave it all, and she did not charge me a penny. She said, just make the film. And not only she did not charge any money, she brought clothes from her own home. Not only for herself, she wore her own clothes. She also had, on several occasions, gone out of the way and brought clothes for Smita Patil, who was considered her arch rival in the industry at that time. Innumerable memories pound my consciousness when I think of Arth and think of Shabana. During the making of Arth, I remember there was a scene where the character of Pooja Malhotra, the central character which Shabana played, having found out that her husband is got a girlfriend and he is now moved in with her, first lands up at his girlfriend's door, and then when he's asked to go to the office and wait for him there, she waits for him patiently. From the very first shot, I remember, of that scene, she just immersed herself into a space in her heart which I've never seen an actor do. She became so vulnerable during the course of the scene. There were about 3 or 4 camera setups, but never did she lose the thread of emotion that she had kind of touched. And finally, when the scene got over, in which she has to, having begged to Kulbhushan, her husband, to give her one more chance and to return back home, and having pleaded that let's make a fresh start, let's make a new beginning, when she's turned down, she walks away, and we hold on Kulbhushan, and the camera holds for quite a while. And then I called cut. And once I called cut, there was an animal howl I heard. And what do I see? I see Shabana, crumbling to the ground and fall into pieces. The sight was heartbreaking. She had touched something in her which I have never seen an actor do. that's how movies like Arth are born. Arth rewrote the story of my life. I rose like a phoenix from the ashes after Arth, but the wings were not mine. The wings were of Shabana. So since you are now going to be doing a show with her, do thank her on my behalf and say that her generosity reshaped me and rewrote the narrative of my life, which was heading into a quagmire.
Only Mahesh can speak like this.
You're okay, ma'am?
My God. And how generous is he? He doesn't even talk about that. He doesn't even talk about the fact that it became such a challenging scene for me because Mahesh, just before the take, told me, I don't want you to cry. I want you to hold back your tears, and you are begging, and get back to the truth within you to experience what begging is. And I cannot tell you, he's right when he said I completely immersed myself in it, because you see what happens with actors is when you're given parts to do in which you are noble or good or powerful, you enjoy that because you like to pull that out of yourself. But the expression of begging, for it to be real, has to come within you. So that means you have to delve within the depths of your being, experience the humiliation of begging, and then the director tells you, don't you dare cry. So, I mean, what he is saying about me, I can say equally about him, because all through Arth, I think we were so much in sync that it was like he would just push a button and I was there. I have never experienced the kind of closeness that I felt with Mahesh all through the making of Arth. And so I would like to use this platform to say thank you, Mahesh, for giving me Arth and for giving me that opportunity and for giving me a role which 40 years later there are women who still come into my homes or wherever I meet them and they say that Arth transformed their lives. So how often does it happen that an actor gets a film or a role which lives much beyond when it was made?
It's a landmark film, ma'am, and I must tell you, when I messaged Bhatt Sahab saying that, I'm doing this interview with Shabana ji and if you can send me something, in his style he said how long this should be, and I said anywhere between 2 to 3 minutes would be great. He sent this note and he said, when you speak from the heart, you lose sense of time.
I cannot even express what it's meant to me. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Before we start speaking about your journey as an actor, I want to go back a little in the past, ma'am. Everyone knows you as Shabana Azmi, but much before you were given that name, you were Munni to a lot of people. When I say Munni today, what memories does it bring back?
My childhood. A childhood that I really had a blast. I was grown up with a lot of love. My parents gave me a lot of love. And, till the age of 9, I lived in a commune because my father was a member of the Communist Party. And so what it was basically was that it was a large flat in which there were 8 rooms. And the rooms were just like between 180 and 225 square feet each, in which 8 families lived. So my father, my mother, my brother, Baba, and myself lived in that. And there was just a strip of a balcony which Mummy had converted into a kitchen. And for 8 families, there was just one toilet and one bathroom. Can you just imagine that today? And yet, those were the happiest days of my life because we really grew up as products of the commune. So it was not only that I was my parents' child, but I was also Sardar Jafri's child, and Sardar Jafri's children were as much my parents' children. So we really grew up with that commune-like atmosphere, which I think has contributed in a very great way to the person that I've become. And Munni, for me, signifies that period. After that, there are very few people who call me Munni. Shashi Kapoor used to call me Munni. Aparna Sen and Konkana Sen still call me Munni, and Rekha calls me Munni. So apart from that, I don't think anybody else, maybe a couple, call me Munni.
Yeah. Were you a notorious child?
Notorious?
Yeah.
I was a fibber and I had a huge imagination. So living in this commune, I told my friends, and I used to go to Queen Mary's, which was a lovely school. And I told my friends that actually I live in New York and I have a private plane and I travel every weekend to New York, and Enid Blyton is my aunt because Enid Blyton was our favorite author. And I didn't even make the connection that she's English. So why would she go to New York? And neither did my friend Bakhtavar, and she believed all of it. And I said that, I am George of the famous five. And I do these adventures every weekend. And I've told my aunt, I don't want my name to come in. So that's why she doesn't say it's me, but I am that person. Now, I used to make up this story. I want to know Bakhtavar. I keep asking Bakhtavar Nariman, was my classmate, that why did you believe it? And she says, because what did I know that you were going to become this kind of actor? You had those jobs right from there. I was a combination of being somebody who was pretty obedient and somebody who broke the rules. And a lot of it, I think I did get from Queen Mary's. So in a way, my mother keeps telling me I was a very sensitive child. She talks about an incident when I think somebody from her family was coming and there was no money in the house even to make dal. So only chawal could be made, but there was no money. So I went to Sardar Jafri's sister and I said, Mommy's asking for 8 annas. So she gave it. And I came and I told my mother, I found 8 annas. She said, where did you find it? I said, I found it on the road. So she says, you should have left it there. I said, no, but I found it. Now we can make whatever dal wal you want to make and all that. So Mummy made it. In the evening, Rabab Jafri came and said, वो मुन्नी आई थी और वो पैसे दे दिए उसने जो मैंने दिए थे वो 8 आने. And my mother got so angry with me and she beat me up and she said, एक तो तुमने मांगे कैसे और एक तुमने झूठ कैसे बोला. And then she tells me for many years after that, she lived with guilt because here was this sensitive child trying to help her out and this was the reaction that I'd got. So having grown up in that kind of atmosphere with telling the truth was so important. So only in the figment of your imagination you could make up the story, but in real life you had to stick with the truth.
Yeah. Both your parents, Kaifi Azmi Saab and Shaukat Kaifi ji, were associated to socialist movements. You have grown up in an environment where people used to talk about issues that concerns the society. It is unusual for a father to give his 7-year-old daughter a black doll. Did you look at your parents differently from how your friends' parents were?
Oh, absolutely. I thought my father was somebody who doesn't do anything. I thought a poet was a euphemism for somebody who did no work because he didn't wear trousers and shirt. He didn't go to office. He used to sit in the house writing something. And then, of course, he used to go to all these, to Madanpura and places like that where he was doing his Communist Party work. So I thought ये कुछ अजीब ही किस्म के इंसान है और फिर मैं उनको अब्बा बोलती थी, डैडी भी नहीं बोलती थी जैसे बाकी के लोग बोलते थे, etc. But the fact is, when his photograph started appearing in the papers, And then my friend said, my God, your father's photograph is in the papers. Then, of course, I owned him up. And I said, this is my father. So I used to play these little games. But, I didn't really dwell on the fact that they were different, but they were different because my mother was with Prithvi Theatres. And she used to travel on her tours, and she used to take me with her on these tours. And what Prithviraj Kapoor had done, because she used to travel with Prithvi Theatre, he had made clothes for me. So in group sequences, when I was just 3 years old, he would put me up on stage. So I think, my love for acting came from a process of osmosis, almost. And the rest of the people in the commune were not like that. So there was definitely a feeling that they were different, but they were united by a common worldview. A worldview of social justice, a worldview of celebrating composite culture, a worldview where women and men were treated equally. So I think that became so deep-rooted that I think is the biggest riches I got from that childhood.
Did that impact your choices in films as well?
Much later. Much later. Actually, it's very interesting. When I was, I took it for granted that men and women are equal.
Yeah.
And I think it's only when I went out in the world that I realized that what I took for granted as the rule was actually the exception. And that surprised me a lot. And then I got really immersed in my films and stuff like that. And I was doing all kinds of films. And then I think what I like very much about my father is he saw me making some strange choices, but never did he reprimand me. Never did he say, "Tum kya kar rahi ho?" Neither my mother nor my father. They left it entirely to me. And it was inevitable that I would then realize that film is such a strong medium for expressing what you genuinely feel. And I was also very fortunate because there was Shyam Benegal and he was offering me all these fantastic roles, which if I had only been doing mainstream cinema would never have come my way. So I think I keep repeating this, that my whole career has been about being at the right place at the right time. I've been very, very fortunate.
Did you ever feel boxed as an artist? You once said you wish more comedies came your way.
It's very interesting because at one point when I was very deeply into activism with Nivara Haq, the organization that I worked with for the rights of slum dwellers in Bombay, and I was in agitations and I was really doing it at the grassroots full-bloodedly and very, very involved politically and every other way. Aparna Sen, who's a very dear friend of mine, said, "Shabana, something's happening to your expression." And I said, "Meaning?" And she said, "You have started looking like the burden of the world is on your shoulders. Lightness has gone from your face. Look at yourself in the mirror and see what is happening to your expression." I cannot tell you what it meant to me because I looked at myself in the mirror and I suddenly realized, yes, lightness was going away from my face. And she also said, your off-screen persona is becoming bigger than your screen persona. And so what is happening is you are reducing my choices as a director to cast you as an actor because you have such a strong persona that even if I cast you as a very helpless woman, I've already given the story away because people will know that if she's doing it, then she's going to rebel at the end of it, or things are going to change. Nobody is going to believe that you're going to be doing this helpless woman. That meant a lot to me because, see, I have been trained by Stanislavski at the Film Institute, who used to say that an actor should be able to prefix 3 words. If I were a queen, a slum dweller, a tart, a comedian, a Rani, anything, you see, should be like water. An actor should be like water, and you should be able to pour that into a vessel, and the vessel should take shape of who the actor is. So this was going against my training, and I had a real struggle with that for some time. But I felt that, maybe I'm losing out somewhere, but it's very important for me because I don't see my work as an actor and my work as an activist very separate from each other. They come from the same worldview, only the medium is different. And so I'll make this choice. So I can't do a film in which a woman is shown as subservient and the director makes you feel that subservience is the best thing for the woman. So I said, even if that is a handicap, I'll stay with that handicap.
Thank you for doing that. In one interview with Simi Garewal ji, you said, I'm not terribly impressed by myself as an actor. Has that changed?
Not at all. Not at all. I really am not impressed with myself as an actor because I understand acting. And I think that where I have reached as an actor is just enough as somebody who wants to be a writer will be familiar with the alphabet. And I really, there's no false modesty in this at all. There are so many actors whom I admire and I say, my God, I don't think I could have ever done that, even if all those circumstances were given to me. The actor who played Stephen Hawking in, I can't remember the film that it was. When I saw that, I said, कैसे इसने अपने जिस्म के साथ किया है, कैसे इसने अपनी आवाज़ बताई. मतलब these are such high standards that actors have reached that I really am not impressed with myself as an actor. I do believe that I have sensitivity and that I feel emotion. If it is real, then I feel emotion and I can react and I can communicate. But अभी मंजिलें और भी हैं.
I don't agree with you.
That's kind of you.
I don't agree with you there completely. You have always credited your success to parallel cinema movement. Today, the lines are kind of blurring. But a lot of credit for that should go to you, Naseer Saab, Puri Saab, Smita Patil ji, and a lot of you. But do you really think that lines are blurring, or is this a little of a mask?
No.
Do we really talk about issues that matter?
No, I think that the lines are blurring, and this is what I've always wanted. I've always said कि ऐसा क्यों होना चाहिए that there should be such clear demarcations between these kind of films. Why can't it happen that people from both kinds of cinema come together to make a film? And in fact, what did happen is, and particularly now, I think actors are doing that. Actors are realizing that there is a lot of merit in, of course, being a star and all that, but being recognized for the actor that you are. And I give a lot of credit to the girls, because the girls have sort of slipped out of just looking glamorous and wearing yellow chiffon saris and dancing in the Alps. They really want to do something substantial, and that is very good. Because see, if you're doing a woman-oriented film today, you have to sacrifice the money. You have to realize that it won't have the same kind of budget that you would have if you were starred with a top actor. But women are also establishing themselves in their own right, are they not? And that is leading to, I think, a sea change, which I welcome very, very much. And I think it's very important that we should be able to do both kinds of things. What I think that the change that is happening is, to an extent, OTT, because I think OTT has the advantage that it doesn't have to depend only on the first weekend collections. It's got a long shelf life. And so maybe it didn't do well in the beginning, but it could ultimately. And so there are more cutting edge things that are happening over there, and a lot more roles that are being offered to actors, to senior actors, to women, to all kinds of things. So this is a very happy time for an actor to be.
Touch wood. Does the word actress still bother you?
At one point, because I wanted to make a political, in fact, I think it's probably me who made that first observation a long time ago in an interview with Anil Dhaarkar. I said, he said, why do you keep saying actor? And I said, well, do I say doctress? Do I say writeress? Do I say lawyeress? So why does it have to be identified with my gender? So, but now that commonly it has become understood and you say female actor and a male actor, sometimes I say actress without feeling as angry about it as I used to earlier.
Putting this out, I always say even calling somebody a female director is wrong. Just say a director.
You know,
right?
I don't know. Zoya and I have lots of conversations on this. She says, why do you call me a female director and why do you call me an Asian female director? I still haven't resolved that completely because I feel that the fact that you are female should inform your gaze, which doesn't mean that if you are a female director, you only have to make films about strong women only. You can make comedy, you can do slapstick, you can do adventure, you can do sci-fi, you can do everything. But the gaze that informs you hopefully should be female because that's what sets you apart. Also the fact that you're Asian, that should set you, that gaze should inform you. So Zoya says, but at the moment you're still boxing me because when more and more women get a chance to make films, then maybe you could have this indulgence. I still don't agree with it. I think it's fine to be called a female Asian director.
But ma'am, why is it important for especially a female director to put it out there? Why should we not let it be on our audience and let them also research for the work they are looking and celebrating on screen?
But this is not an either or. I'm not saying that. Let that also happen. Let that also happen. But because you are creating space, I would imagine it's only the gaze that I'm concerned about. Because the gaze has been male for so long in anything that we see. And women are saying that, you know, let empowerment not just be a buzzword. Just realize that the world will be a better place if men and women are included in the dialogue that is taking place, whether it's on economics or politics or war or whatever. Because for far too long, solutions to all problems have been sought to be met from the male point of view. And what women are saying, we think differently. And this difference needs to be celebrated. So it's not about women becoming male, but it's, in order to be successful, it's that difference to be celebrated. So what are we talking about? We are talking about separate but equal.
Yeah.
And you can expand that to the whole world as the world shrinks and becomes a global village. That's what we are saying, particularly in the field of art, that it no longer can be the West imposing its cultural paradigms on the East, but it should be both ways. We should be also sending our cultural strengths there. And that leads me to some kind of, I think, debate that is happening on what is the crossover film. The crossover film to me really is something that will be determined by the length of the film. Because बहुत लंबी फिल्में जो हैं बहुत मुश्किल होती हैं. लेकिन इसमें crossover फिल्म में हमने ये क्यों किया है कि गाने जो हमारी इतनी बड़ी strength है. I mean, if you look at the work of Sahir and Shailendra and Kaifi and Janisar Akhtar and Majroo, मतलब हमारी कितनी सारी memories उनके साथ involved. And there was this friend of mine, Vinay Shukla, who said that, you know, these songs were little philosophies that helped you negotiate life.
Yeah.
Such an important thing. And we're the only people who do it. So why must we give up our songs and say that, all right, if we are going to have songs today, people are not going to be lip syncing. It'll only going to be, as a background montage है वो ऐसा क्यों होना चाहिए हमारी इतनी बड़ी स्ट्रेंथ है तो वही मैं कह रही हूँ कि अगर हम वहाँ जाएंगे तो उनकी तरह की फिल्में क्यों बना देंगे भाई
जी
जो हमारी फिल्म की जो स्ट्रेंथ है वैसे हम बनाएंगे ना that's what I think needs to happen.
I agree. When did you realize you are more than an artist and you have a social obligation towards the society?
I think it's inevitable. I think that, see, an artist's resource base has to be life itself. You have to be connected with life. The problem is that in the process of becoming a star, you lose connection with life because you are surrounded by, right from the chowkidar to a concentric group of people who keep you away from the star. तो स्टार को मौका कब मिलेगा कि वो जिंदगी से जुड़ा रहे और अगर आप जिंदगी से जुड़े नहीं रहेंगे तो आपका रिसोर्स बेस श्रिंक होता रहेगा because I think there's also a lot of confusion about from where do you get your ideas, from where does your imagination get struck. It can't be that I am an admirer of a particular actor, whether it's Meryl Streep, whether it's Liv Ullmann, whether it's Kate Blanchett, and then I start imitating them. That will be wrong.
Yeah.
It has to be from my experience. And within that, it is very, very important that I keep getting rooted to life and make an attempt to see that I don't lose.
Sure. Ma'am, it's a hypothetical situation. You're on a film set. I come to visit you. Your shot is getting ready. Your director is about to call you to give you a shot. Moments before that happens, what do I see Shabana Azmi doing?
Firstly, you're not invited on film sets. Nobody is supposed to come on the film set. That's a very, very private thing.
I get that.
But see, I didn't have this ability like Sridevi. Sridevi was absolutely amazing. You know, she'd sit and you feel that life ही नहीं है इनके अंदर. ऐसे खामोश सी ऐसे बैठेंगे और you say start camera action and she just completely transforms and then is this sparkling, energetic, beautiful, wonderful character that she's playing and then you say cut and she goes back again to being that kind of person. मेरे लिए ऐसा नहीं है. मुझे in some sequences I need concentration. I need to be alone. But obviously as you go and experience more and more, sometimes it becomes easier that you can be laughing away and yet you can do something. But I do appreciate in sequences where I'm a little anxious, where I'm a little nervous, then I want to be by myself.
Do you still feel nervous?
Of course, absolutely, yes. yes, absolutely.
I don't know if you noticed, but Masoom released in 1983. And 40 years later, What's Got Love to Do with It, it's releasing in 2023. How has Shekhar Kapoor evolved as a director in all these years?
See, Shekhar has always loved his actors. Even in Masoom, he used to treat everybody like dressed in China. I think he's honed that more, that craft, because I think what he does is he creates a climate for the actor to be inspired, rather than pushing his idea down your throat. And he's infinitely patient. But in this particular What's Love Got to Do with It, you know, I have a scene with my son in which I get emotional and I say that, you know, all I care for is for my children to be happy. And that was the first shot that he kept for me. I said, Shekhar, this is very unfair. Why are you giving me this as the first scene to do? And he said, well, it's because of where we have to shoot it, etc., etc. So I said, but that's not fair. And he said, you know what? If you can touch the emotion here, everything else will fall into place. And that's what happened. Because that moment between Shehzad and me, something struck up between both of us. And so having established that relationship and that love between the mother and the son, it sort of then helped us guide it through, even in the moments when we were being just completely lighthearted or whatever. And so I think that was a wise choice that he made.
Yeah. While this film marks 40 years from Masoom to What's Love Got to Do with It, next year also marks 40 years of your marriage with Javed Saab. 1984 you got married. 2024 is 40 years next year. And he recently said in an interview that, even marriage couldn't shackle the friendship that the two of you share. What are your learnings from this 40 years?
Firstly, I have a very good relationship with Javed. And I think that the strength of that is the friendship we share with each other. I think we're each other's best friends. And also a worldview which is the same. I mean, the kind of people, the kind of background that we come from. His father was a member of the Communist Party, Javed Akhtar. My father was a member of the Communist Party. They were both politically involved. They were both from UP. They were both lyricists and they were both parents. I mean, it doesn't get closer than that. So really, हमारी तो arranged marriage होनी चाहिए थी. जिस तरह के लोग, हम लोग, जिस तरह के background से हम निकले थे. But I think the fact that both of us are also so busy and that we have not only this relationship to hang on to, because then you can burden it a lot. And the worldview, I think the worldview and respect. I think respect has to be the fulcrum on which a relationship can be focused and then based. Lekin, please don't be under the illusion that everything is hunky-dory between Javed और me और हम सिर्फ प्यार और मोहब्बत की बातें करते हैं. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. हम लोग बहुत लड़ते हैं. We shout and we can really get very, very angry with each other. We like all relationships do. But I think there's a magic trick that he has taught me. And he said, when we are really angry with each other, either one of us should say, drop it. And the other should drop it. Because what happens is when you're angry, you say things that you later regret.
Yeah.
And then revisit it when we are not as angry as then. And let me tell you, it is a mantra which I think all couples should exercise, because उस वक्त आप अगर उसको drop करते हैं, drop का मतलब not sulk, drop का मतलब ये नहीं है कि अंदर से तो नफरत आ रही, फिर we just drop it.
Yeah.
And then revisit it when both of you are in a calmer state of mind. It just works.
Yeah. एक गुस्ताखी वाला सवाल है, आप गुस्सा कर दीजिएगा आपको ना अच्छा लगे तो. बट आपने कहा है कि जावेद साहब रोमांटिक नहीं है और हमको ये थोड़ा बिलीव नहीं होता है. हाउ डज ही एक्सप्रेस हिज लव टू यू देन?
उसकी ज़रूरत नहीं है रोमांस की. मैं खुद बहुत ज़्यादा रोमांटिक हूँ नहीं, और मुझे रोमांस का एक्सप्रेशन, जैसे कि ख़ास तौर से वैलेंटाइंस डे से तो मुझे जितनी नफरत आती है ना, बिकॉज इट्स बिकम सच अ मार्केटिंग गिमिक, एंड इफ यू डोंट गिव दैट डायमंड टू योर गर्लफ्रेंड और योर वाइफ, देन यू डोंट केयर. आई कांट tolerate that. See, I am not one into putting any value on expensive gifts at all. बिल्कुल भी नहीं. But sometimes he does very beautiful things. There was a sculpture of Salvador Dali that I liked very much in London. And then he said, ले लेते हैं. तो I said, no, it's too expensive. It doesn't. करके छोड़ दिया उसको. Then that was, I think, on my 50th birthday, I found in my bedroom that sculpture with a very beautiful, and it's on time, and with his poem Waqt, which was inspired and written by that in a very beautiful letter. And he had gone through such limits to know that मुझे पता नहीं चले कि वो कैसे आए, ये करे वो करे. That was what touched me. the effort that he put
Yeah.
into it. Otherwise, I don't have value for gifts of that kind. But I think, when both of us are reading and we just touch each other's hand, when we're totally comfortable with each other, I think all that is beautiful.
There's another Gen Z term, it's called couple goals. You'll have couple goals for us.
Couple what?
Couple goals, it's called couple goals. I know you'll hate me for this. It's called couple goals.
मतलब क्या?
You're a goal as couple for all of us.
We are couple goals.
Yeah, it's a Gen Z term.
मतलब ये इतना मुश्किल है, बस अब हमारे सर पे ये आ जाएगा और फिर then now every time we fight we have to think we are couple goal. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए, प्लीज इतना भार आप हमारे सर पे मत रखिए, बिल्कुल भी मत करिए ऐसा.
Ma'am, how do you remember your friends Farooq Shaikh Saab, Puri Saab and Satish Kaushik ji, who we lost recently?
I don't want to talk about Satish because it's too raw
Yeah.
with me. I haven't really processed it, and so I don't want to talk about
I get
it.
that.
Yeah. But Farooq Shaikh, Puri, I think I still have to come to terms with the fact that they are no more. And I think what cinema does and what Twitter does and what things like that do is that you keep seeing them. I just remember that I saw an interview with Nasir and Om, and a long interview that was taken by Anupam Kher, and I've seen it earlier, and I just saw it again, and suddenly I felt कि अभी भी हैं Om मेरे साथ. फारूक का मुझे बहुत ज़्यादा अफसोस इसलिए हुआ था कि फारूक and I have done a play called तुम्हारी अमृता.
Yes.
For I think 22 years.
Yeah.
Okay, and what I remember is on the 14th of December we did that play against the backdrop of the Taj Mahal, and it was magical because the first half of it was done in the evening and then twilight came and the second half was done in the evening, and it was a very magical experience. And I said, my God, we can't get any better than this, and we should call the curtains on this play. I was telling Feroz, the director,
Yes.
because इससे बेहतर तो हमको मिल ही नहीं सकता. And Farooq said, क्यों? मैंने कहा 22 साल से हम लोग कर रहे हैं, and he said 22 साल और करेंगे. And 14 days later he was gone. Just 14 days later he was gone. The finality of somebody going away, the unpredictability of it is, really what it does to you is it tells you that you must live every day as if it's your last day.
Yeah.
Because only then when you feel lazy, when you feel नहीं अभी कुछ नहीं करें, ये हो जाएगा, ये परसों हो जाएगा, ये तरसों हो जाएगा, I think we have to sort of revisit that. This is a heavy thing to say, but Farooq was a very, very dear friend who never said a kind word to me in his life.
अच्छा.
Never. मैं आपको एक किस्सा सुनाऊँ उनका. I told you that we started the Natya Mandir, Hindi Natya Manch in Xavier's, which was the Hindi. So during the rehearsals, we had to go back and get some props for it. तो हम लोग चले क्योंकि हमारे पास कुछ भी नहीं था. We only had to do everything. We had to be the prop people. We had to be everything. तो एक औरत जो है, बूढ़ी औरत, वो पैसे मांग रही थी, तो फारूक ने उसको 8 आने दिए. तो उसने कहा भगवान तुम लोगों की जोड़ी बनाए रखे. तो फारूक ने उसके पैसे ले लिए. अगर मुझे ऐसी बद्दुआ देनी तो लाओ मेरे पैसे वापस. इस तरह की हरकतें वो हमेशा करते थे. All the time he used to just tease me. But my God, when I needed him, he was always there, so concerned about health. He did something which is so amazing. I had a driver, Ramu, and he was in hospital, and 3 times Farooq went and met him when none of us were there without ever expressing it to us. तो ये बहुत generosity थी Farooq में. And I had a very beautiful, beautiful time with him. It's impossible. You can't do 22 years of a play where you're traveling all over the world, just Farooq, Feroz and myself, और हम लोग ये कहते थे कि my God, thank God we get along. नहीं तो एक दूसरे को we would have killed. So Farooq is somebody I think who didn't take his talent seriously. I think he was lightweight about his talent, but he is a very, very talented actor.
Probably didn't get credit for his talent.
नहीं, क्रेडिट देने के लिए लोग तैयार थे, वो ही अपने आप को सीरियसली नहीं लेते थे, तो क्या करते हैं?
अच्छा, he was a senior ना, 2 years.
2 years
in
senior.
Ma'am, last question. If there is a time when you have to save one performance of yours for posterity, for future generations to see, only one is an option, which would that performance be in? Why? It's very difficult, I know.
It is very difficult because there is no performance of mine that I am so completely satisfied by कि मैं कहूँ कि नहीं भाई आप ये देख लो. In fact मेरे साथ ये होता है कि होता था, अब पता नहीं, not so much, but you know, if I did a shot which I didn't like, and if I'm watching that film with my friends, and when that shot is going to come, मैं बोलती हूँ पॉपकॉर्न लो ना, ये लो ना, distract them so that they don't have to look at that particular shot. And I remember when I used to do a shot that I was not comfortable with, I would dream that, you know, in the night I'll go to the laboratory और वहाँ से मैं ये चुरा लूँगी और फिर इसको करना पड़ेगा, मतलब all kinds of completely fantastical things. But the fact is that there is no one performance that I think has no faults at all. So it would be very difficult, I'm sorry.
Are you very self-critical?
Yeah. And I don't think I'm overly self-critical. I don't think I'm overly self-critical, but I don't take myself too seriously because I am surrounded by people who are so talented and who have so much, and for whom I have so much respect, that I really still consider myself a student and I am learning, and I hope that I can remain like that, and when I go I still remain as somebody who is still a student.
There's so much that I'm taking from this. Ma'am, can I tell you, when I became a journalist, every film journalist has some, to-do list. Tick mark hota hai. One of my top, and I'm not making it because I'm sitting here, believe me, and you can see it from my messages. One was interview Shabana Azmi. Today, it has completed. I've spoken to you a couple of times on the call, but this is the first time I'm doing a sit down with you. And this is absolutely my honor. I'm so thankful you've given me this time. I hope I've been able to make the most of it.
You know, it's very rarely that I get into the mood so much and don't get on autopilot. So it is because I can see the genuineness in what you were asking. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. This means the world to me.
Thank you.